That is ABC and Look of Love, and I'll be honest, I wasn't quite sure how that record was going to go down by way of introduction to our next guest. I was wondering whether we'd got the right record. This is Ali Smith, who's in the studio, who can tell us what it's like swapping New York City for Norwich. She's done just that and has written a piece in the national papers in The Guardian about it recently, and I read it, and it read to me, and I hope this is the way it was intended, it read like such a love letter to Norfolk. I thought we'd have to get Ali in. She's here. She used to be in a punk band called Speedball Baby before becoming a photographer and a writer. Ali, welcome. Thanks for coming to see us.
Thanks so much, Chris. Yeah, I love that song.
That's okay with you, is it?
Fantastic.
Look of Love, ABC.
It's my look of love for Norwich. How's that? I do love that song.
But that's good, because when I read it used to be in a punk band called Speedball Baby, I was wondering, ABC?
Well, I will be breaking something before I leave, but no, we're all good.
And have I got the tone of the article right? Because I read it and I thought this is someone who's moved to Norwich and maybe didn't know what to expect, and absolutely has fallen in love with the place. That was what I got from it.
Right. Well, I am born and bred in New York, only lived there until a year and a half ago. But my husband is from Norwich, and we used to come in the summers. So I had some familiarity, but it's totally different than deciding to live somewhere. And, New York is an amazing place to grow up. I'm so glad I grew up there. You went there for 2 weeks when you were 22, which is the perfect time to be there. I'm sure you had a good time. I've walked red carpets and been in punk shows in squat basements. It's been a rich life, full of diversity, full of experiences. I'm a little older now, and and maybe I need different things, and it's a big old world out there, and it's suffered post-pandemic like lots of places, but New York is a very intense place, and I'm raising a 14-year-old child, and it just wanted something different, and this felt, I knew I loved Norwich. I knew I loved coming here, but I had no idea what it would be like to live here.
Whatever your background, it's a big thing to leave your home city, isn't it?
It is, and in some ways, it's so unmooring. Everything you think you know about yourself is shaken. And that's also a fantastic opportunity to find out who you might be without that definition of native New Yorker. Like that's always been, it goes into every room before I do.
And I think that's why it's such an interesting lifestyle change, because you've just mentioned what your life was like in New York, and I'm already thinking as a born and bred Norwicher, if that's the right way of putting it, thinking, we can't compete with that here. We're completely different.
I hope so.
But that's what you're looking for. That's why you're here.
Yeah. I keep getting, like I said in the article, a lot of So I wrote this article really as, like you're saying, a love letter, but also sort of a fait accompli for a time in my life. I just released a memoir about those wild years in the band called The Ballad of Speedball Baby. So that was sort of like putting a fine point on the 90s in New York, wild times. Then there's this article that's sort of bridging the gap into my new life. And, I wanted to sort of give a big kiss to New York and say thank you. And also, I'm out of here. And to really embrace, coming to Norwich, it's so interesting. First of all, the creative community here, artists, visual artists, photographers, writers, musicians, has not only been abundant, it's a huge community, but also so embracing. I mean, I was here a couple of weeks with my eyes wide open and completely dizzy, and photographers are telling me their day rates and making introductions for me so that I can try and get work. And there was a lot of generosity, and there's also a huge community of people who give back in terms of social work, therapy, life coaching. So that creates quite a unique atmosphere of generosity and embracing, which I found immediately.
And you need that when you move to a new place. I mean, I appreciate you've got your husband with you and you've got that anchor straight away, but you still need your own life here, don't you? You still need to be accepted by the community, by everybody else to be able to enjoy your own life here.
Definitely. And people, a lot of people, for whatever reason, love to tell you how things will be. And I've never been such a fan of that anyway, obviously. But a lot of people will say, well, you can't make friends after whatever age, or you can't this or that, or the differences culturally are too big, blah, 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 blah. And I've been delighted to smash every one of those tropes.
Did you have other native New Yorkers trying to put you off or doubting that you would be happy here then?
Actually, no, because a lot of my friends have found somewhere else they want to be at this point. There were, friends that were sad. Mostly it was British people that were putting me off. Like, you won't be happy here. It'll be too small. I'm like, I'm going to try anyway. And I think it's just sort of a difference in style. And also, like, you want people to love your place, right? But you're worried they won't.
I think that's it. Yeah, you don't want to be a letdown, do you? Because as I say, I'm from Norfolk, and when people come here, I do want them to love it. I want them to love the place. And you're almost, maybe that's where it comes from. You're almost apologising immediately in case they don't. I don't know whether it's a British thing or a Norfolk thing or what it is. But maybe we don't need to. Maybe we need to be bolder here. Maybe that's what we need to learn. What do you think?
I think if I can help you have fresh eyes for the place that you're living in, which is really fantastic, then I'd love to help do that. Reflect that.
Well, you've definitely done that. What do you miss most about New York, though? It's your home city. There must be something that you think, I wish I could just go there.
I mean, it's really the people. By the end, it was quite difficult for me, not just me, but post-pandemic, America doesn't have a lot of social services or doesn't prioritize them. And we were embroiled with a president he was waging a holy war against kindness. And New York culturally is sort of like its own country in America. And so you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And post-pandemic, we weren't getting a lot of help. And there were a lot of, drug addiction and difficulties that were really at the fore, and I was just exhausted by it. So maybe in 10 years I'll look back and say, oh, I miss that bagel place or something. But right now I just feel like, okay, we've done that. Now we're doing this. Love you. Goodbye.
And the bits of Norwich or Norfolk in particular that you've fallen in love with, what has become your new favourite place to go?
Well, I have my coffee shops like I wrote about for me, finding your coffee shop where you can sit down with your laptop is a huge deal because I'm writing a second book and I'm always reaching out and trying to get work and blah, blah, blah. So I go to the Bread Source. Bread Source on Upper St. Giles is my number one. And that made me feel safe. And then I love walking down Elm Hill because it's just amazing looking. And I find these things really beautiful and charming. But I went to a dance party in the basement of the Rumsfeld Arms by a friend, Kathy Webb. She threw a dance party, and I was just like, it's taken me decades. I wanted this party in New York for decades, and I'm having the best time of my life. So there's all sorts of things I'm finding all the time.
Well, it's good to hear that you've taken to Norfolk life and Norwich life and you're enjoying it. So there's a book out and there's another one on the way. Tell us about that.
Yes, the book is The Ballad of Speedball Baby. It's been doing great. It's a memoir about my time as the only woman in a notorious, influential punk band from New York in the 90s. So that's sort of like an era and a time that was very special, and that's been doing fantastically well. And now I am working on a second book it's a collection of short stories also set in New York, related but different. So. And
do you still do music? Have you found a way into that here?
Yeah, I play with a friend called Adam Clark, and now I do little bits of music. And I've been happy to leave the anxiety of what's this mean and where am I going with this, and just play music. And then I've just gotten into this thing where this guy, Marco Butcher in North Carolina, who's a friend, sends me tracks and I sing in my bedroom and I send them back. And it turns out we're making an album. So I don't know. I'm just as flummoxed and surprised as anybody to say that. So in a way, it's been a renaissance out of the freedom of just making and creating. You can be in Norfolk, you can be in Norwich, and you can make transatlantic albums now. Transatlantic albums. It's very Kraftwerk sounding, yes. It is. Ali, it's lovely to meet you. Thanks very much for coming in. The book is called The Ballad of Speedball Baby, and I'm sure down the line there'll be a book about Norwich as well, won't there? Most definitely. At some point, definitely. Well, let me soak it all in first. Thanks for coming in, Ali. Nice to see you.